Hello and welcome to Tom Talk Shop. Today I'm going to take this simple piece of pine, blank in this case, it's clear, and I'm going to turn it into this reasonably complex piece of trim. We're going to be using a half-inch bead plane in this case, a couple of hollows, a round over plane, and a rabbet plane to make this. We'll also be using 3 marking gauges. You can use 1, but we use 3 and just set them since we're making a bunch. This particular one we made in a video some time ago, and Sukey will put a card up there to read it. This trim has a nice big cove in it. This one's about 7/8, but you can do whatever you want with the trim you've got. Half-inch bead, again, you have to mix and match with what you have. And then it has 2 roundovers, a small one where we use the hollow here to finish out your cove, and then another one to finish out the bottom of the trim because it'll be used this way. If you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and if you have any comments or if you have any ideas for videos, please leave them down in the comments below. I sure appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I'm going to need to take my blank, which I'll pick up here in a minute, and I'm going to cut out a approximately 3/8 by 3/8 rabbet here, and I will mark 2 approximate, it'll be an 1/8 inch relief down here, and then I will make the same line here, and then I will be creating another offset line over here for me to follow with my grooving plane. I'll do that first thing. So I'm going to take my, and this is going to be opposite, so I'll start down here. And also when you do this, you want to kind of make sure, of course, your grain is going that way, up. And also that your top grain is kind of going, towards you and not away from you on the board, so you're not going to be catching it. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make an approximately 3/8 rabbet. All this is just to hog the waist out. Doesn't have to be super accurate, just don't want to go too far. And this one is actually a little bit under 3/8, but it will vary somewhat with the round over, or the round that you're going to be using. Then, with this guy, I'm going to be marking what amounts to slightly more than an 1/8 inch relief at the bottom. And then I'll just be repeating the same mark up here. And that's what encloses my cove. That's just those 2 reference lines. And I just want to come down to these 2 scratch lines. You can do it freehand if you want, but I'm doing this a long time and I still can't do it freehand. Save my life. Mark that line in. Now, for my last line, what I'm going to be marking here is another line that sits out here. I don't know a good way to show this. But what this does is this gives me a line to track the, I guess I'd call it my inner edge of my beading plane. And I'll actually be making that cut very first. Let me finish making this mark. Also, when I make my blanks, I typically never make them more than a few inches longer than I need. And I did use a machine planer, but I plane them down close, and then I use a hand plane to plane them down the rest of the way. That way, if there's an issue, I find it right away and I can discard the blank without getting into it and then figuring out later that I've got a real mess on my hands and I've wasted a bunch of time and labor on it. Sometimes I just hand plane them, but I've made a bunch today, so I just did it with a machine. Not going anywhere. All right. All right, so the first thing I got to do is I've got to track this line right here, and I'll make a little pencil mark in it. I always make this cut first because if something's going to go wrong, this is the one that always goes awry on these compound moldings. And I would rather make my big mistake up front and discard the blank rather than doing all the other work and then figuring out that I just made a horrible mistake. And I usually take and start deepen my cut just a little bit because your plane does not want to track well in this line. If you had a plane with a fence, it might make your life a little easier. I don't have one that would make this cut. You'd have to have one of the newer style 55s or something to make this cut. Veritas has a plane that'll do that, I guess. It's a little bit less cranky than the 55 was. All I'm doing is just making a little bit of a shelf in there just to make it where my grooving plane will ride in there, because if you don't, it'll hop out and it'll screw everything up. Even with this, it might do that. You've got to be really careful when you're starting your cuts. And you want to make sure you keep a pretty good distance between your inner and your outer there. Plus, cutting a line here keeps it from tearing into the other part of the profile, which sometimes, especially with these softer woods, it will do really easy. Now, for this case, I'm using a 1/2-inch center bead plane. There's no fence or anything on it. Use what you have. You could use a 3/8, you could use a 3/4. Okay, and then what I do is I put it at an angle in the groove, and I just very, very carefully do a little bit at a time. And like I said, this is the easiest part to screw up. That's why I do it first. With that little cut I made in there, it rides in that thing quite a bit easier. Now you can see I've started a set of rails here, and it'll follow in the track once you get it going, but you want to keep your track nice and straight. Okay, we had a little bit of a camera malfunction, so we missed a little bit, but just kind of keep working your way back and cutting until you're all the way through your piece. And then once you've gotten a set of tracks, as you can see back here, they're pretty shallow, then you just keep working sections, and most planes, if they're set up properly, just about stop cutting. There we go. I'm basically at the end. It might make one more cut. There we go. Now I just take nice, quick, fast little cuts, and it makes a pretty sharp cut usually. There we go. All right, now I've got a little bit of a problem with the wood here. I've got a little piece right here that I can feel it's going to grab. So I'm going to cut and get my cut deeper here in the back. Then, once I'm almost to depth, there's a spot there too. I'll just get the whole thing. There we go. Now, that part's made. This is the worst part of this whole trim, is getting this guy done. Now I'm going to kind of do a rinse and repeat here. I'm just going to do this so my rabbit plane doesn't jump. You got a rabbit plane with a fence, use it. Mine are all busy right now, so I'm going to use my wood one. I can't stand my own line here. And again, 3/8 by 3/8 is an approximate. It's just more important that you don't get too close either way, but you want to get rid of as much waste as you can. Now that size will vary depending on the size of round. I'm using what's called a number 14 round. I have no earthly idea what that number means. Somebody in the comments might know better than me. It's a plane that was made in New England in about 1840, so that would tell us a bit. I think the American and the British numbering systems were different. I know they were different from the continental system. Okay. Again, this doesn't have to be beautiful. You just don't want to get too close going either direction. Now I'm planing down approximately to my cut line. Actually, going past it just a little bit, not a big deal. All right, now that is absolutely good enough for our purposes. It's not a drawer joint or anything. Now I'm going to take my number 14 and I will just start making cuts. Kind of takes off both sides. This is why we did this, otherwise you would be here losing your hair, taking all this off. Okay, so you see I'm starting to clear a little bit of waste here. We made a video specifically on making Cove this way. And I might have actually gone a little too deep right there. We'll see in a second, but it's right at the very end. Always make your trim 4 to 6 inches longer than you need it for that exact reason. No, I'm all right. I've still got a little bit more to go at the bottom there. Now I'm going to just work my way back and clear a bunch of my waste. All right, that worked out really good. You can still kind of see just a little bit of the bottom of that. Now I will start working down to my top line and leaving just a little bit of meat. Then I'm going to check my baseline. Alright, that's getting close. You have a little bit of digging right there. I'll fix that on the last pass. This is the part where you just go slow and take your time. Just making your scribe lines just disappear. No more, no less. Oh. Almost there. Alright, now back. Just tidy it up. Okay, now I've got that part done. Now, the last two things I want to do is I'm going to round that over. I got that a little bit thin right there on the end, but it thickens up back here. This is be snipe anyway. So I'm going to start with a number 2, which is a pretty small and tight radius. And I'm just going to lay it in on top of this edge of this cove. Yes, that's right. I'm going to take a couple of passes very carefully, checking my work as I go, and it gives you a very nicely finished cut in there that, quite frankly, is very hard to reproduce with a machine. It says handwork all over it. And I just keep going until my line here is pretty sharp. That's more a matter of taste. All this, unless you're matching a specific trim, which I'm not. Now I'll take the same one and I will run along here, just taking a little bit of waste off because it actually cuts easier. But I'm going to finish it with a number 4, which is hiding over here, just to give me a little bit more of a round over. More pass there. Now this piece has been pretty good, except right down here. I'm going to miss a little spot here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is just take some spills and give it a really good scrub. And down at the one end here, I've got some ditzels in there that are really messy. Just going to take, now that I'm all done with my cutting tools, you don't want to do this before you're done.
I will just use a little bit of very, very coarse sandpaper to clean out down at the bottom of that. But I'm only doing it in a couple little spots. You can do it the whole way down. And other than that, you don't need to sand. They had to use shark skin for this 200 years ago, but that's what I use. So that's basically compound trim. I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different planes. It's about 7 passes, I think. And 3 marking gauges, just simply because that way I didn't have to reset it for each time. And that's what we have right there.